What's up, beautiful people? This video is so special because this will be the first video of my English channel, and also will be the first video and the first course that we are going to talk about, or we are going to cover, HTML course. I think uh, once you known a little bit about programming, HTML is one of the fundamental pillars to understand how the modern software works. So I think it's inside quotation mark easy topic, but in the following episodes we are going to cover different aspects and features about this hypertext markup language. So also we are going to talk about maybe culture, text editor, well, code editor, and so more. In this case, I am using Visual Studio Code, that is a very famous code editor in software community, and I think I think it's relevant to tell you guys that right now I'm using a operating system based on Linux, known as distribution. Why I'm not using Windows in my case? Because depending on the developer or depending on the developer needings, sometimes is necessary use different tools and operating system and so on to really cover all what you need as a software developer. In my case, I'm so comfort using Linux to develop software, so don't worry if you see something different. I am going to explain how to do the same operations. It doesn't matter the operating system. I suppose that the most part of the viewers are going to watch this course, maybe use macOS or use Windows, so don't worry about that. I'm gonna tell you if it's necessary. Mm, Make an appointment about, okay guys, in this part it's important that if you are in Windows, please do this, and if you are in Linux or Unix based operating system, do this. But like, this is a very basic course, you don't have to worry about that. So let's go into start. Also, I try to not exceed about 15 minutes duration, because I think we can cover enough in the duration, and the idea is also cover theory and practical aspects. So let's do it. In this case, okay, don't worry if you don't have Visual Studio Code, you are going to go your Google Chrome or another web explorer. You are going to type Visual Studio Code. The code part is important because Microsoft has another ID known as Visual Studio, but it's not Visual Studio. It's Visual Studio Code. As you can see just right there, there is Visual Studio Code, and there is another known as Visual Studio Code that has this symbol in blue. So make sure you are installing the correct code editor, because Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code is not the same. Well, are not the same. And VS Code is in this case, Visual Studio Code is known as VS Code, and Visual Studio is just known as Visual Studio. So don't worry about that. In this case, we are going to install Visual Studio Code, and you only have to download your executable file depending on your platform. maybe it's interesting because there are another interesting platform like web, but in this case we don't use web, but as you can see we can use it directly in web browser. So maybe in one of the future episodes we can cover an episode using this tool in web browser. But yeah, you can open files or folders and search for existing projects. So once you are ready, has the Visual Studio Code installed, you are going to look for in your system and open it. In this case, I'm sorry because I have a strange error in my Visual Studio Code installation, but don't worry about that. It's only in my case. Let's do it open again, and as you can see, you are going to see something like that. It's a basic or a standard configuration, pretty boring, so you can customize your own Visual Studio Code. In my case, I think if I open the HTML folder, Visual Studio Code are setting up my standard or my own customized personalization file. Let's see, of course. And as you can see, I use different icons, colors, color palettes and more. So let's start. How can start with HTML? It's important that HTML is just one file. Yeah, it's just one file. You don't have to worry about if you have to install 10 tools or a specific runtime. No, that is not important just right now. You have to understand that HTML is just one file that you can create in any moment, anywhere. Anywhere in a computer machine, and write pages. Is that's all. It's not relevant. So in my case, I can create a new file just clicking right in the file explorer and using the new file, or tapping in this or clicking tapping sounds weird, clicking in this icon that says new file. So in this case we are going to set name file. You can name your HTML files as you want, but I recommend using a so important convention that use a lot of servers around the world and is looking for a specific HTML file called index. Index is important because it's the first file that a web server used to look for to show to the client. So it doesn't matter just right now, but it's important that you used to use this name, because this name is not because yes, has their own importance. So in this case you can call whatever, but take in mind that in this case index HTML, we are going to use it in the next episodes. So once we have this empty file, let's create our first web page, and this is so easy. HTML use hypertext. What is hypertext? Hypertext are only labels, predefined labels that allows to developer categorize or sync the content depending their context or depending their type of data. Doesn't matter. What about if we want to create a title? So let's create a title. HTML doesn't give us a title tag. Title doesn't exist in my case. Title, but let's try to write title. But if you use Visual Studio Code and you write this character that I don't even know how this character is called in Spanish. So in English, no. But if you're using Visual Studio Code, you can see all the HTML tags, and as you can see, there are a lot. But don't worry, once you well, meanwhile you are learning about HTML, you have to be patient because there are a lot of tags that you are not going to use so frequently. So there are like 5 or 10 so common tags, and the rest are used for a specific context. So as you can see, title, okay, title exists, but not in the way that I'm trying to tell you. But let's use title. So in this case, Visual Studio Code helped me closing the tag, but if you are not using Visual Studio Code, you have to close the tag using the same tag name as you open, but with an slash at the beginning. And Visual Studio Code continues help me, but it's important to make that that appointment. So let's create my first web page, and that's all. Let's open this web page. So first of all, to open this web page, we have to already install web browser. If I have Firefox and Google Chrome, but if you don't have a web browser, that is a so strange situation, let's install a web browser. So in Visual Studio Code, oh, I'm sorry, I tried to zoom in. In Visual Studio Code, we are going to use this shortcut to open the folder where I'm working on. It's just right click and open containing folder, and in this folder you can see the callwhatever.html, and if you open with other tool that is not a Google Chrome, you can see the content. For example, text editor open, and is the same we did in the past. So let's open this file with Google Chrome and see that have a blank page. But where is my title? If you are a good viewer, you can see at the top in the title tab the title we already defined in the HTML file. As you can see, my first web page. But okay, that tag do their work, but I want to show information in all this blank space. So what have I well, we need to show information. How we show information in all this blank space? So in this case, we need to use the specific tag. But give me a sec. What happens if we try to use a tag that doesn't exist? For example, hidden, because one of the ways to specify hidden is using H126 that are existing tags. But what's happened if we create our own tags like hidden? Well, hidden doesn't exist, but HTML try to recognize them and show information. Doesn't matter if that tag doesn't exist. For example, my first hidden. So let's see in the web page what's happened. I have to reload my web page, but in the next episode I'm going to tell you a useful Visual Studio Code extension that allows you, once you save this HTML file, reload automatically this web page. At the moment, we have to reload the page clicking just right there or typing F5. And as you can see, we are seeing my first hidden. I have to zoom in to see the hidden, but doesn't matter. It's exists. So this is our first heading, but this heading is not correct. It's not semantic correct. And what is semantic? Okay, HTML is known as be a hypertext markup language. It's important make an acceleration or make an appointment in the markup part, because markup, as you known, is like, okay, this is my computer. If I need to identify this thing, I'm gonna mark up like computer. Or for example, this is my microphone, hello. And in my case, if I don't know what is this, it's pretty obvious, but let's see in the markup way. So I have to put a label in my microphone to tell the other people's, hey, this is a microphone, and or my cell phone or whatever you want. So the same happened with HTML. Before I say that HTML is used to define a specific information depending on their context, depending on the data type. So in this case, we have to be semantic. Meanwhile, we work with HTML. So as you can see, heading doesn't exist, and you see the text my first heading in the normal way, but this is incorrect because this is not semantic. How can work in a semantic way? Well, in a semantic way, we have to set the correct tag to the correct information. If this is a heading, we have to use the heading tag. In this case, as you already know, that heading tag is H1. And we already working with the correct semantic order of HTML. And let's see and appreciate this important change that is not relevant. I swear you, it's not relevant, but it's a notable change. So let's reload the page, and as you can see, the font family change. Has a bigger font and has bold. So this is work in a semantic way. HTML, the text that we are talking about him like a heading, and in this case the web browser like Google Chrome help us to say, hey, you are using a heading, I am going to apply some defaults styles, but doesn't matter right now about the styles. But as you can see, depending on the data type we are working on, depending on that, the representation change. So I hope this video was helpful. I think we passed the 15 minutes, so I think we cover all the essential stuff. I hope you continue this course, and excuse me, maybe if my English is not so well. I'm English learner. As you can see, my mother's language is Spanish, and also I have a Spanish YouTube channel where I teach programming in Spanish language. But I really love this language known as English. I would like to practice and teach others in a way that it could be useful for others, and me, in this case, me learning pronunciation and improving my skills. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This video was helpful, and see you in the next time. Bye bye.